So if you meet someone, and you know someone for 20 years ago and you meet them, you look at you say, well, what have you done with your life? What have you accomplished? So you look at each other first, see that, well, I had 5 kids and I have this job, or I didn't have the kids, but I built up this company. You look at what you've accomplished with your life, or I went out to work, but I didn't get a job. So I just kind of started drinking, goofed around, and didn't really do much with my life. What you've accomplished is Saturn, the judgment of what's a right or wrong. That's Jupiter. So, oh, one person, well, you were really successful. Oh, teach me. Oh, you really accomplished something. Oh, that I'd like to understand that. You really drank your life away, didn't accomplish anything. Oh, man, who needs that? But since I've been doing much lately, I'll come have a drink with you. What have you done, Mars, with your time, Saturn, and the guilt and the self-righteousness or the understandings that can come from what you've done with your time when you start comparing with others? That's kind of Jupiter. So Jupiter in the nighttime is great. It's going to really be affected by others, but it doesn't mean the others have good understandings. They may be wrong people or bad people, or people in bad behavior. If it's more independent, you've got to figure it out for yourself, or you may go on yourself and you may not even think about what other people are thinking. Maybe so, or you could be reacting to it. But so how do you say how understanding is reacting? Well, you're seeing a pattern, you're seeing an influence, a distinct different energy affecting the set. Then you have to look across a person's life and get 5 or 10 or 20 different experiences that are reinforcing that this is going this way. We have our worksheet, so you're just trying to find one to start with, but you should be able to see it at each time, and you keep seeing how your understanding matured or changed, and when times when you're doing things right, times when you're doing things wrong. All of these times in our life, when we go back, wait, that's Jupiter. It's certainly, if you're going to write a biography or an auto of someone, it would be really useful to know these tides, these changes. Then we have the 4 seasons. I think I fixed these. Yes. So then we have our 4 seasons where you double up the other categories. So winter, the social factors are stronger, the team spirit, the group, what's needed to get through the winter, and it's the actions to get through the difficulties of the winter. How to take individual actions in the middle of a group. When you're in the middle of a group where you're working for a company, there's so many time demands. It's hard to keep up with them, much less have time to do things for yourself. You'll still manage to do things for yourself, but not as much as you have to do for others. And that's that's the winter, when the nighttime is greater and the daylight's just increasing. The Jupiter is well aware of what you have to do or what needs to be done, and how little time it leaves you to do things. So when you get it down to springtime, the daylight's greater and daylight's increasing. This is springtime. Everybody's doing their own thing. Everyone's going out and doing their own thing and seeing how far they can take things and wanting to take it further. So this Jupiter does not work well. Jupiter works best in the social signs. It rules Sag and Pisces. It works best in the RASA or team spirited sign. When it comes to the independent signs, it tends to exaggerate one's sense of self-importance or one's independence and encourage to go for things beyond what you should, without the consciousness of how it's valuable to others. So Jupiter has more challenges in the springtime than it will have in the fall. It rules Sagittarius, how everyone can get together, all the things there are to do, and how to be part of the team, and all the things to see. That's the Jupiter in the fall signs. But in the spring signs, it's all the things I can do. I can go here. I can do this. I want this. I can get this. I can do this. I can say this. It's self-centered and a little bit more exaggerated self-understanding or self-importance, and the actions will try and live up to that. I'll get away with this. I'll do that. They'll go on the adrenaline. At every stage here, you're trying to understand. As soon as you see one, you have to stop for a second. Like, how would that affect how I'm doing things? How would it affect the way I look at my father, authority, or responsibility? How does it affect desire for experience? How does it affect restraint? And Jupiter is going to have its own way of making sense of it. And each of these signs gives it a particular bias, a particular color that's going to have significant effect. The summertime, you're doing your own thing, you're going your own, you're expanding in your own way, but there's beginning to be more and more sensitivity to other people. If you have a home, you got neighbors. If you have kids, you got school, and you got other kids. If you got a skill, you got other people working at a place. So you can do things where you're having to get along with other people more. So you need to understand how to make your things useful to others. That would be very good, and that would be a good summertime lesson. So when you get to the fall, when the nighttime is increasing and nighttime is greater, you have the social factors being most predominant. So this is going to lead to this is going to go this will affect so-and-so. If you say this to so-and-so, you do this here. If you hit somebody, they're going to hit somebody. They're going to tell someone else is going to come back. They're going to tell their older brother who'll come back and hit you. So it's understanding how things affect other people. And I mean, if you have that right, that can be if you know how you can affect other people, what's good and bad, and you use it right, you can guide your energies really well. So in the fall and winter signs, Jupiter is more comfortable and can offer better guidance, and a person can be more receptive to that type of guidance than when it's in the spring or the summertime. So here, this is a case where the theory, it sits there, but it's not. You can't just take the theory. You have to break it down from the words and the ideas about it to what has someone actually lived? What's actually going on here? So if two kids get home from school, get sent home from school for fighting, you can blame them both. Maybe one person was the bully and started, maybe one person got back. What's fair? Or you see your two kids fighting and you punish them both, and maybe the one was bullying the other, and since they both got punished, the one who didn't do anything wrong is being unfairly punished. If that goes on a lot, you have abuse in a family, and a tendency, an attitude towards that when it's older. So then, once you've picked up this basic attitude, this towards freedom or responsibility, towards belonging or trying to break away from the group, what's right or wrong? Right would be belonging, right is doing things that work with the team better. But if your daylight is increasing side, right would be being able to break away from following what everyone's telling you and trusting your own values, trusting your own principles. Whoa. Interesting puzzle. Each one can be good or bad on its own. But once you've picked up that attitude, then if it's in a masculine sign, you're going to project it. You're going to project that understanding. So people with Jupiter in the masculine signs will project their understandings or be inclined to act on it or put it out to magnify the importance of what they understand. Because understanding can be acted on to put it out, but if it's in a feminine sign, you're going to be inclined to reflect on it, take it in, to respond to what's right or wrong in others and around you, and take it in. So that can bring in bad misunderstandings, bring in good understandings. You can put out good understandings, you can put out bad understandings. But in Jupiter in the masculine signs, is going to be projected mentally or action-wise. It's going to encourage more action or more output to do more. When it's in the feminine signs, Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, Pisces, it's going to reflect. It's going to be part emotional, part practical. It's going to be measuring and taking in and reflecting what's right and what's wrong. If I do something wrong, I don't want to be guilty. I could be reflecting on how bad I was or how wrong I was. I'm sorry I wasn't honest. I'm sorry I told you I loved you when I really just liked you or wanted to go to bed with you. You know, or I'm sorry when I said I just wanted to go to bed with you when I really meant I love you. You know, either way, the action has different understanding or different intent behind it. So when it's in the feminine signs, there's a tendency to reflect, and by reflecting, by being sensitive to the actions of others and the repercussions of other people's actions, one comes to one's understanding by reflecting, by taking in, by measuring. It's very different than acting on it or speaking on it or exaggerating it. You'll exaggerate what you need or what you want, or how you have to respond. Again, you have to slow it down, think about it, take it as a meditation, take it as conflict, live with it for a few days, live with it for a few years. See, in time, you'll come to be able to use Jupiter better. But if you don't understand what's right and wrong or what's good or bad, it's going to impair your ability to do someone's horoscope. You're just talking without seeing the understanding of it. And you have a certain understanding, and other people could have totally different understandings than you. And if you're trying to guide their action, they're not just going to follow your understanding. You're going to have to be able to guide them according to their understanding and what would work for them. So when we're dealing with the inner planets, it's very personal, and every little influence can be seen really easily. As we deal with the other planets, every influence is there, but it's hard to see. We can't go in to see it. We see it out. It might be this way in one place, that way in another place. So it becomes an outer puzzle, some place where most people are going to work, doing their Mars during the week, and they go to church or the temple on the weekend. They've done something that's right, and it justifies what they do. And they have a mix of things that they do that are some good, some bad, some in the middle, and that's your matrix of outer actions. But the challenge is with Jupiter to develop a better understanding and to be getting better guidance so that you can do more and accomplish more. And you can be on the right side rather than the wrong side. Easy to say. So, okay, we went through the seasons. I'm just going to go ahead here. Get through these 4 slides. Okay, so then we get to the modes, which is the 3 dynamic. So first you pick up the attitude to freedom and responsibility, being on one's own or trying to belong by the light and the darkness of the 4 seasons. Then we see whether we projected or reflected in the masculine and feminine. Then when we get to the signs, we get the modes. The 3 modes are the dynamics, and there's a really different dynamic. There's the cardinal sign that's really dynamic, pushing. There's a fixed sign that's very stubborn, determined. And there's the mutable sign, which is perceptive, manipulative, or very adaptable. And each one has its own power and its own style. So Jupiter, when it rules a sign, it's going to rule Sag and Pisces. It's going to rule the adaptable signs, the multiple choice signs. But it's not going to express itself that easily. It will express itself clearly in a certain way for each sign it's in. But in the cardinal signs, there's a tendency to take an understanding and to push it, to make you understand. If you have Jupiter in Aries, you understand what actions are needed, and you're going to be encouraging yourself to go on impulse, to try something, go for things, to be competitive. It's going to encourage the adrenaline of the Aries. So the Aries will come in, actually the Aries adrenaline, to be impulsive and to do things in pace, will encourage the Jupiter to exaggerate on impulse, to drive faster on impulse, to do things on impulse. And it's not necessarily responsible guidance. It can cause accidents or cause problems if you use your energy too fast without reflecting on the responsibilities. If you have Jupiter in Cancer, you're going to push your understanding of home and family, of security, of that sensitivity. I need to have these securities, and it's going to encourage everything else in your chart. If I understand the need to have a family, so this is what we have to do. So understanding is going to preach to Mars to get it to do what it wants. It's going to try and encourage the Mercury and the Moon and the Venus to go along with it and see it that way. And we don't always listen to our understanding, but that attitude will be there for better or worse when it's Cancer. Now, someone whose understanding is towards security and towards family is very, very different attitude than someone whose understanding is towards taking impulse and going on impulse and using force and just trying things regardless of the sensitivity or the security, just for the experience of it. It'll develop different types of experience in different types of people. So these are the independent signs. When it's in Libra or Capricorn, it's in the fall and winter, but this is the Libra in the fall. The sharing and involving, the understanding is geared towards sharing and partnership and understanding the other person, understanding how to share, how to do things. And once you understand, we're meant to be together, we're soulmates, this is here. The Jupiter and Libra is going to push for that right relationship, or push for someone, our relationship to someone, to help give us feedback about our understanding or to help us formulate it. They're not going to go impulsive on their own thing. They're going to want to make sure they're getting some encouragement first. That's a very different advice than just going on impulse in Aries. And the Cancer security, pushing for personal security, is very different than when Jupiter's in Capricorn and it's looking for social security, status, respect, honor, dignity. So Jupiter and Saturn in Capricorn is going to be aligned to the Saturnian rulership, is going to be aligned to understanding the father, the responsibility, the work ethic, what needs to be done. That's very different than understanding what I need to feel and what I need for security. So they're all valid, but each one has its own style. And it's Jupiter, you'll see it right away, but once you see how Mars is going, you'll see how this influence gets added on top of it in trying to see what can be accomplished with Saturn.